are you? Here we are with the Game 3 of the 1969 World Series replay between the Orioles and the Mets. We are at Shea Stadium in Queens, Flushing, New York. Not far from LaGuardia Airport and within a short distance of Kennedy Airport. And we're going to get started right away. Our pitching matchups are Jim Palmer and Gary Gentry. So Jim Palmer is an A pitcher with a Y, and Gary Gentry is a B pitcher with a Y. So on paper, you're looking at the Orioles as having an advantage. And we're going to get started right here with the leadoff batter, Don Buford. He broke up the Jerry Koosman's no-hitter last night in the bottom of the ninth inning in Game 2, and which the Mets won. I believe they won that game 5-1, and that was a tremendous performance by Koosman. He had the batters mesmerized throughout the game, but with nobody out, the leadoff batter, Don Buford, in the bottom of the ninth, stroked a double to right center field to break up that no-hitter. So that was some kind of game to watch. All right, so here we go. Let's get started. 22-22 on Buford's card is going to be a 7, and that's going to be a single. And that's going to be a single against any pitcher. So that's a pretty good number to roll. So Buford is a fast runner, so we don't have to worry about giving any directions at all. 64 is a 13. A 13 is a strikeout. So Gentry gets a strikeout on Paul Blair. Frank Robinson, he had a tremendous 1969 season, 32 home runs and 100 RBIs and a .308 batting average. I mean, these Orioles have an impressive lineup. Yet the Mets are up 2-0, and this is Game 3 of the 1969 World Series. Now, this is truly a miracle Mets team. I personally don't understand it. And it's a 56, a strikeout, number 2 for Gary Gentry. And Boog Powell, a 25 is an 8. An 8 for a B pitcher is going to be a ground ball to the third baseman. And today the third baseman is Wayne Garrett, over to the first baseman, Ed Kranepool, and that's out number 3. So no runs, 1 hit, end of the top of the first inning, and we're going down to the bottom of the first, and the Mets will bat. Tommy Agee. A 15 is a 10 against an A pitcher, is a single to center. Wayne Garrett has pretty decent contact numbers. And we're not going to take any chances. We're not going to be stealing at this point with Wayne Garrett batting. 33 is a 7 with a runner on first. It's going to be a ground ball to third and runner to second base. And we have Cleon Jones. 46 is a 13. It's a strikeout for Cleon Jones. 2 outs with a runner on second base. And Art Shamsky, he's actually the hero of Game 1. He, in the top of the 12th inning, he stroked a 2-run single as a pinch hitter to give the Mets a 4-2 victory in that 12-inning first game of the series. Art Shamsky. And this one's going to be a fly out to left field. And that's going to be all for the Mets in the bottom of the first. And that's 1 hit on and no runs. Top of the second inning, and it's going to be Brooks Robinson, the stellar defensive third baseman for the Orioles. 63 is a fly ball center field, 1 away. Elrod Hendricks, it's a 35, which is a walk. Elrod is slow, so he won't be attempting any steals, and he will advance one base at a time. It's an automatic house rule that I play. Davy Johnson, 56 is a strikeout, so that's Gentry's third strikeout. And Mark Belanger, 41. 41 is a 24, and that's going to be a ground ball to the shortstop, Buddy Harrelson. Harrelson over to the second baseman, Boswell, and that's going to be a fielder's choice for the third out. No runs, no hits. Bottom of the second Mets. Kenny Boswell, this is his first start of the series. We actually have 4 new starters in today's lineup, and these are the actual lineups of Game 3, played in 1969 at Shea Stadium in Flushing, New York. So Kenny Boswell, he played 102 games, had 362 at-bats, and he batted .279. That's going to be 26. A 26 is a 24, is a grounder to short, and that's one away. Ed Kranepool, 33 for Ed, and that's going to be a 7. A 7 for Ed is a single against any pitcher with nobody on. So Ed Kranepool is a slow runner, so he's going to be playing it very conservatively. Jerry Grody, the catcher, 24-13, and Jerry Grody continued to be the catcher for the Mets for a long time. I remember him in the late 70s, still as catcher for the Mets, until I think John Stearns took over. Buddy Harrelson with a runner on first, and it's a 45, and that's going to be a walk. Palmer gives up a walk to Harrelson, and that's going to move Kranepool to second base. So you have first and second, and Gary Gentry, not much of a hitter at all. If you see his card, it would take more than a miracle for him to get a hit out of this. I don't think, it would be possible if I rolled a 66, and there it is. Boom. A 66 for Gary Gentry with runners in first and second. He's going to need a double to get Kranepool home from second base. And that's going to be 43, and that's not going to do it. That's going to be a single for Gentry. And Kranepool's going to hold up at third, and we have Tommy Agee, who batted .271 with 565 at bats. He hit 26 home runs, so he does have some power. Let's see what goes on here. 2 outs, bases loaded for the Mets, and Tommy Agee, the batter, in the bottom of the second. And that's a 51. That's a 9 against an 8 pitcher. I don't think that's going to be much. No, it's not. It's a strikeout. And that is the third strikeout for Jim Palmer. I believe he goes on to be an underwear spokesman later in the 70s. Jim Palmer. Okay, so actually Palmer is up. The Mets leave the bases loaded. They had 2 hits in that bottom of the second. And here we start. Jim Palmer's the batter. Top of the third. 31 is a 23. Now that's a number no team likes to see, because you never know what's going to go on with that. And that's going to be an error by the center fielder, Tommy Agee. 2 back-to-back games where 23 gets rolled, and it's an error by the center fielder. So Jim Palmer's at first. He is a fast runner, quite an athlete. And Don Buford is the batter. 36 is a 33 with a runner on first. And that's going to be a pop-up to third base. Paul Blair. Here's a pitch. 24 is a strikeout. The 4th strikeout. And Frank Robinson. Big power guy. Boom. So long. 2-0 Orioles. Boog Powell, 25, an 8 against a B pitcher is a fly out center field. 3 outs in the inning. The Orioles come up with 2 unearned runs, driven in by Frank Robinson's monster home run, and the Orioles lead it 2-0, bottom of the third. Wayne Garrett playing third base. 33 is a single. Cleon Jones with a runner on first. Say 46 is a 13, is a strikeout, the 4th strikeout for Palmer. And that's going to be a 4. It's a 12 is a 25. I don't know if you can see it. 25 there. A 12 is a 25. And that is going to be a ground ball second base over to the shortstop. Back to first. Double play. And that's all she wrote for the bottom of the third for the Mets. They leave a runner on. They get 1 hit. And top of the 4th. Brooks Robinson, 23 home runs, a .234 batting average. 23 is a 12. 23 is a 12. That's going to be a ground ball to third base. Garrett over to first. Cranepool, 1 away. Elrod Hendricks, a 12. And that's going to be a ground ball, second base, over to first, 2 away. Davey Johnson, 63, fly ball center field, 1-2-3. Mets, bottom of the 4th. Kenny Boswell. Played in 102 games, batted .279. Starting today, fly ball right field. Robinson, Frank Robinson, for the out. Eddie Cranepool, 56 is a 34, and that's going to be a strikeout, the 5th, for Jimmy Palmer and Jerry Grody. And that's a 25, which is a ground ball second base. And that's going to be Davey Johnson over to Powell. 3 away. 1-2-3 inning. Mark Belanger for the Orioles, 31. A 9, that's a single. Palmer's going to bunt. Let's see if he can produce a successful sacrifice. 64-13. That's a foul strike. 56, that's a foul strike. He's going to bat away. And it's a 46 strikeout. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. Jim Palmer, not a guy that can do much with the bat. Let's see. Runner around first, Don Buford. Don Buford at 25 is an 8 on his card. Against the B pitcher, it's a ground ball to the third baseman, Garrett. Garrett over to Cranepool, and Belanger goes to second base. Now we have Paul Blair. Paul Blair is a 64, which is a 13, and it's a strikeout. It's a strikeout. He got his 5 and 6. That's a 6th strikeout of the game. And it's Orioles get no runs on 1 hit. Bottom of the 5th, Mets, Buddy Harrelson, Gary Gentry, and Tommy Agee. 43 is a 29, a ground ball back to Palmer. Palmer over to first. 1 away. Gary Gentry, 25 is a 36. That's a ball. 25, a ball again. 24, that's a strikeout. The 6th for Palmer in this game. And then you have Tommy Agee. 25 is a 10, which is a single. A 10 is a single to center. So Tommy Agee has singled for the second time in this game. And he has 2 of the Mets' 5 hits. Wayne Garrett. 66. And that's going to be a 0, and that's going to require us to roll again on the second column. And that's a 33, and that ball's a triple. A triple along the right field foul line, just inside the line. And that's going to score Agee, and Garrett is going to make it all the way to third on a triple, a 2-out huge triple that brings the Mets within 1 run. And it's Cleon Jones. 2-out, runner on third. Jones, 34, fly ball center field. And the Orioles are out of the inning. And that's going to be 1 run on 2 hits, and the score is 2-1 going to the top of the 6th. It's going to be Frank Robinson, who homered, hit a 2-run homer last time at bat. And it's going to be 55, which is going to be a fly ball center field. It's modified because of the B pitcher grade of Gentry. Boog Powell, 34 is a 31 fly ball center field. So Agee's getting a lot of action out there in center field. And a 15 for Robinson, which is another fly ball center field. So 3 fly balls to center field, and we go to the bottom of the 6th. 2-1 Orioles. In replay of 1969, Game 3 of the World Series, Mets lead it 2-0. Art Shamsky. Art Shamsky is a 45, and a 45 is a 14, which is a walk. So Shamsky is a slow runner, so he's going to play it safe. Boswell hits a 7 with a runner on first against an 8 pitcher. That's going to be a grounder to third. Robinson over to first, and Shamsky goes to second. Ed Kranepool with Shamsky on second. And that's a 66, and that ball is big, beautiful, over the wall, gone. Huge 2-run shot, clutch 2-run shot by Ed Kranepool, who I still remember playing first base for the Mets in the late 70s. This is 1969. It tells you a lot about history of baseball, in that players used to stay with their teams a whole lot longer than they do today. And these are players that weren't MVP candidates or superstars. These are players that are your average Joe player. He stayed with his team for a very long time. So I can imagine that being a championship team or making it to the postseason or any big accomplishment with so much more heartfelt than it is today, because you're actually succeeding with a large group of guys you know very, very well, and you know how much you struggled and how much you sweated to get through the 162-game season. So Jerry Grody. Mets are now up 3-2. 55 fly ball right field, 2 away. Buddy Harrelson. And a 21 is a 30, which is a fly ball left field. That's going to be 1 hit and 2 runs for the Mets. And the Mets are going to take the lead in the bottom of the 6th, 3-2. Top of the 7th inning. Elrod Hendricks goes on to be a New York Yankee. 44 and 8 is a fly ball center field. Tommy Agee gets under it, puts that away. Davey Johnson, a 16 is a ground ball shortstop. Harrelson over to Kranepool, 2 down. And Mark Belanger. 31 is a 9, is a single. Belanger. And Jim Palmer, a 13 is a strikeout. 7 strikeout for Gentry. Top of the 8th. You'll see Buford, Blair, and Robinson. And we go to the bottom of the 7th. Mets winning 3-2. Tommy, no, we're going to have Gary Gentry. 23 is a strikeout for Gentry. That's Palmer's 7th strikeout. Tommy Agee. 44 is a 8. An 8 modified for an 8 pitcher is a pop-up to the third baseman. And Wayne Garrett. Wayne Garrett, 56 is a strikeout. 8th strikeout for Palmer. Top of the 8th inning. Paul Blair. I'm sorry. It's Don Buford. 12. Ground ball, second base. Second baseman, Boswell. Over to Cranepool, went away. Paul Blair. 24 strikeout. 8 strikeout for Gentry. 53 is a 16. A 16. Gentry makes an amazing catch. He goes after that ball and tracks it down in right center field. He's got some range. He's a 3 fielder, one of the top fielders in the league. And we go to the bottom of the 8th. So you're going to see 17, wait a second. It was a right fielder that made that catch. The right fielder today is Art Shamsky. Not a very, very good fielder, but did make a tremendous catch on that one. When we come back to the top of the 9th for the Orioles, it's going to be Boog Powell, Brooks Robinson, and Elrod Hendricks. Cleon Jones, Mets, lead it. Bottom of the 8th, 3-2. Game 3 of the 1969 World Series. 45, it's a walk. Cleon Jones walks. Shamsky, Art Shamsky, 26, fly ball right field. Boswell, 53, 19. 19 against Brooks Robinson. Makes a great play, rifles it over to first, and Jones goes to second, 2 away. Ed Cranepool, the hero so far, with a 2-run shot last time at bat. And it's a 31 as a 14. He walks. Palmer was being very, very cautious with Cranepool. Cranepool may not be an MVP candidate, but he can swing that bat when the pressure's on. Jerry Grody. First and second. 54 fly ball. Right field. Frank Robinson. 3 out. Mets leave 2 on base. 2 walks. No hits in that inning. Top of the 9th. Gentry's going for a complete game. Boog Powell, Brooks Robinson, and Elrod Hendricks. They need 1 run to tie. 31. It's a 9. It's a single. Powell gets on base. He's slow. You're going to have a pinch runner. Salmon is their utility infielder. He's going to come and he's going to run for Powell. Top of the 9th. And we're going to have a pinch hitter. I'm sorry, not a pinch hitter. We have Brooks Robinson up. We have a pinch runner. Salmon. Chico Rutherford Salmon. Rudy. I'm going to call him Rudy. I don't know if that's really his name, but it doesn't say anything on his card. Okay, so he's on first. Brooks Robinson. Brooks Robinson had 23 home runs and 598 at-bats. Batted .234. And we're going to bring in a pitcher for the Mets, Tug McGraw. Tug McGraw is coming in, and we just colored in the boxes he will pitch in. And Tug McGraw is an A pitcher. He's an A with an X. And there he is. You got to believe Tug McGraw said it. Let's see what happens. Brooksy Robinson. 36 is a 33. And that's a pop-up to the third baseman, Wayne Garrett. Elrod Hendricks. Elrod Hendricks had 12 home runs and 295 at-bats. If you look at his power numbers on his card, they seem generous. He's got a 1 in 66 and a 5, which with a runner on first or second, I believe is a home run as well. So he's got some power. So let's see what happens here. Tug McGraw against Elrod Hendricks in a 3-2 ball game in the top of the ninth with 1 out and a runner on first. 22 is a 7 against an 8 pitcher. There's going to be a ground ball to Garrett at third. Garrett over to Cranepool. The runner goes, Salmon running for Powell goes to second. And we have 2 outs, runner on second. And Dave Johnson, who hit 7 home runs, batted .280, will bat. He's the last chance for the Orioles in this game. And that's a 43. A 29 with a runner on second. A 29 with a runner on second. Is a ground ball to the first baseman. McGraw has to cover. He does. And that's out number 3. That's no runs. 1 hit. Game over. Mets win 3-2. The Miracle Mets are living up to their name. I personally really don't know how they do it. This is somewhat of a mind boggle how the Mets have managed to go up 3-0 on the Orioles, who have an outstanding pitching staff, both starter and relief, and a very impressive lineup, especially in the 3, 4, and 5 hitters. I just don't know. So I hope you enjoyed the game, and see you soon with Game 4. Take care now. Mets win it by a score of 3-2. It's the 2001 World Series, 1969, Game 3 between the Mets and the Orioles, and you saw a tremendous game. Take care.